Hi guys, I'm Shmi and today is the first day that I am driving my brand new McLaren 675LT Spider. I've actually just driven it out from Topaz Detailing where I met with Nick, my salesman from McLaren Manchester, and we just showed you the full handover, kind of an induction tour all around the car, the specification, the details, and how it works. Now you probably also know it's been at Topaz to have the full detail and paint protection film that is going to keep it looking as lovely as it does right now throughout the sorts of journeys and adventures and road trips that I have planned with this car in the future. But today, like I said, I've just driven it. I've driven it maybe 5 miles or so, so it's gone up from 9 miles on the clock when it was delivered to about 14, maybe it's 15. So it's pretty new. I've been changing the settings, getting used to it again. It's been a couple of months since I sold my 675LT Coupe. Obviously still very familiar. It's a platform and a chassis I've done a lot of miles in with the 12C, the 650S Spider, the 675LT Coupe, and some miles in various press cars. I've probably done around 30,000 miles now in the P11 platform cars from McLaren. So I'm very, very familiar with them. But now I'm going to take you for the first time with me in the car for a little drive. Admittedly, around central London, which is not the best place for a brand new car, and of course it is running in, so I have to be very, very careful with how many revs I can use and the way in which I can drive it. No aggressive downshifts, for example. But yes, like I said, we've come from Topaz, we're near my home in the centre of London, so I didn't quite have time today. I've got a couple of other things on to take it out of town, but I will be doing and will be taking it to some extraordinary places. Some amazing, amazing driving roads in the future. But this is day one. This is collection day. It's looking beautiful, spotlessly cleaned, and the sun has come out, which is exactly what I wanted. Now, I actually shot the handover video yesterday when I could have driven the car out, but let's just say the weather outside was pretty atrocious. And I thought for a brand new convertible supercar, it would be wrong to do anything but driving it for the first time with the top down. So I left it till today. A bit of a hard decision. Obviously a lot of impatience for a new car, especially when you've waited 15 months or so from when I first sort of requested it to specification, to order, to build, to delivery. But it is here now, and we're gonna go for a drive. Quick recap there on the spec. We've got MSO Orion Purple that you can see popping away in the sunshine here, my custom colour for the car. We've got the stone grey seats and stitching on the interior to give a sort of contrasting finish combined with the silver wheels. I've gone for pretty much all the satin carbon fibre you can have. The exterior pack, the mirrors, the vents, the extended pack on the dashboard, on the buttresses here, and the door panel cards, which is new for me. We've got some other touches from MSO, the toggles, the embroidery on the seats, the carbon shift lights. Basically, it is spec'd rather highly, but I think very, very nicely. I like creating really sort of good-looking cars, thinking a lot about how the specification is going to tie in together. I think with this car I wanted to create something elegant, something that's very, very, very good-looking, albeit not necessarily as in-your-face perhaps as some of the other cars, but I've got a few other toys to play with to do that. So this is my, let's say, elegant car that we're going to go for a little drive in now around London. So let's jump in. And to do that, I will grab the key from my pocket, which I want to show you too. This is my previous key actually from my coupe, but we've got the cerulean blue stripe. It's not the previous key, I should say, it's the previous cover for the key. So it's transferred onto the key for the new car, but it goes with the sparkling flake that you might have seen on my Instagram and Facebook pages inside the paintwork. Open the door, familiar system, you can double press or press the button on the underside. And that's where you get a nice look at that carbon fibre there. Climb in. One leg in, swing down, pull the door as you come. It's actually quite an easy process. Then you've got the nice soft close, comfort entry to pull the steering wheel down. Oh, sorry, I told a lie, it's got 19 miles now. It took me longer to get here than I thought. Let's start it up though. And we're into life. Now today, we're going to be keeping it in normal mode and normal mode. Obviously with the new mileage, but I will at least get an opportunity to drive in this spectacular new car. And away we go then. So just like the coupe, Alcantara steering wheel, air conditioning controls done through the Iris system. So you've got everything on there. Now, I'm hoping I can chase the sunshine and not spend the entire drive under clouds right now, but it is August. Well, even though it's August, we are in England, and the weather here is spectacularly unpredictable and normally pretty rubbish. But I've got some air blowing at me, so that's quite nice as well, because even with this cloud, it's still fairly warm today. But yeah, like I said, it pretty much feels like home from the word go. I'm obviously super familiar with this setup. I have done many miles in 675 LTs. I did about 5,300 in my coupe, so more than enough time to get to know it. And obviously in that time drove on some pretty spectacular roads as well. I mean, day one of me driving it, I picked up the car from a showroom in Germany that I had it shipped out to, and then drove it straight away up some passes in Switzerland where the weather wasn't 100% on my side. It was a little bit snowy. We had the FF and the LT Coupe, but what a sort of memory that was to take it to Italy. Then day two, looping around Monza, not racing Monza, but just doing some photo shoots and stuff. And again, just absolutely like lost in a different world of awesomeness. Driving the LT Coupe at sort of 36 hours old, or 24 hours old almost, around Monza. And yeah, then from there we went down through Italy, across sort of where the Passo della Raticosa is, around across to the south of France, had it for a month in the south of France. And then earlier this year did the full Wes Chemie tour again in the car, just travelling over some amazing roads and locations and places. And yeah, the Coupe had a pretty good innings, and I think the Spider is, well, my plans are for it to have even more journeys and adventures out on the roads. I mean, I've just got some seriously big things in the works. I'm going to be taking this car, well, down Croatia, past the Adriatic Sea, through Italy many times. I think I'm even going to go over to Sardinia with it, a trip around the north of Spain, and this is all in like the next 2 months. I think in 2 months' time this car is going to have about 5,500 miles on the clock. So watch this space for some pretty epic McLaren adventures. And then on the same trip I'm also going to ship out my Porsche and Ferrari for bits. So watch this space, because I'm actually going to do a full sort of announcement of what's coming with that tour in the very near future. For now though, just pootling along in automatic. Now obviously my instinct is down to first, let's give it a little spurt, but wouldn't really be appropriate with sub 20 miles on the clock. So pootle along, haven't turned on the active dynamics panel. I'll obviously do much more about the driving experience and things when the car is sort of fully set and ready to go. But for now, we'll just enjoy the cruise. A sort of elegant boulevard cruiser, but not on a boulevard, around central London. I'm actually going somewhere when I'm making this video, so it's not a totally pointless journey. But yeah, I mean, it just feels so good because I've waited for so long. The car is finally here. There's like, I don't know, that waiting game. It's fun, really fun. You know, with the LT Coupe, I waited, I think, about 10 months from ordering until the car arrived with me. But with this car, it's literally been a 15-month process before the car has arrived. It's here now, the speed bump ahead of me, so lift system up, which is done by pulling and holding that, and then one press, and now up it goes. Which a lot of people don't realise. They think it's spectacularly complicated, but it is literally just that. And that will protect the carbon fibre front splitter, which is very low. Although a nice thing they did on the LT, I can put the lift system back down by going back down. Nice thing they did with the LT is that it has like some little plastic protectors under the splitter. So if you hit, what you hit is actually the protectors and the well, there's a skirt at the front and then some pads. So you can just change the pads for a pretty insignificant cost at your next service. And the carbon stays perfect, which is obviously pretty important. What? Yeah. How do you describe the words? I mean, you might have seen the video I shot driving this thing in Tenerife, well, the factory car in Tenerife, and the smile, the sheer smiles from the excitement and drama of driving the 675LT without the roof. And if you had the roof up, you could still put the window down. So, like, absolute best of both worlds, and you can do it while driving. So just as a test, let's try this and put the roof on while I'm sitting in the car. It says, can obviously do it while you're moving, even though I'm not moving right at this second. So roof goes up, windows, and all done. Nice and easy, hey? Very easy. Works absolutely fine. I'll put it back down again in a second when I'm driving off. But this is where also, if you want, you can put down just the rear window, and then you can drive with all the noise, even if it's raining. So literally, you can have the worst weather possible and put that down. The rainwater won't come in unless you're driving in reverse really fast. So you put the window down and get the noise of the shifts and the bangs. So when you're driving it in sport mode with ignition cut, you can literally get those cracks and not get wet. It's like, that feature alone is like worth the Spider. And the disadvantages of the Spider with the LT Coupe, 40 kilos heavier, and obviously a lot of that 40 kilos is the roof mechanism, which is quite high centre of gravity versus the actual car's centre of gravity. 40 kilos is pretty insignificant. And I was trying to ask, when I was at Spa with my coupe earlier this year for the Pure McLaren Day, I was trying to ask what would be the difference to me driving in the Spider. 40 kilos more, slightly more drag, obviously because it sits a little bit taller. What's the difference to me? What would my lap time change? And the answer was basically my lap time would be exactly the same, because the limit for me is in my confidence in the car and what I'm happy to do, not what the car is capable of. So realistically, I mean, maybe the drag will make a difference of 1/10 of a second or something on a 2-minute 40 lap or whatever, but it's not something that's ever going to make a difference. There's so much more room for me to improve before I'm at the limit of the car. That's obviously going to be the case for most people buying these cars. You're not driving them at 100%. You might be driving them I've just spotted my first photo being taken from the van behind me, which is cool. I suspect there's going to be quite a lot of that as I am driving around city streets right now. But it's good to be here. It's good to be at the wheel of the 675LT Spider, and I'm really, really looking forward to actually having some genuinely cool stuff to share with you that is more exciting driving it than sitting in a traffic jam down the Euston Road or Marylebone Road or wherever we are in London before we get to the red traffic light. That's basically what it's about driving around here. It's not very exciting, and that is why I drive my classic Mini around London most of the time. That's basically what I've bought that car for. Classic Mini if I don't need practicality, Focus RS if I do, FF if I'm going somewhere where I want a smart car, and save the LT Spider and the GT4 for properly nice roads somewhere significantly more exciting. Handbrake on, so I can take my foot off the brake, and it doesn't creep, it will hold on the handbrake until you accelerate away. So yeah, LT Spider is here, the adventures are set to commence. What an absolutely awesome day for a first drive in a new car. I am so happy I waited for the weather to be better, to be able to experience it top down, and now I just can't wait for everything else that I've got planned. The trips, the adventures, the road trips, the places I'm going to, and the roads that I am going to drive. I'm actually setting off with the car in less than a week for my first road trip, which I think is pretty crazy. And the one thing I've got to do before I go is change the tyres. And the reason for that is I've actually bought the LT Spider on Pirelli's Trofeo Rs. Now these are effectively semi-slicks. In fact, if I bring the camera down, you can basically, can you see that? There is a pretty sparse tread pattern, and that is basically what makes it a race car. That is when it goes around the track exceptionally quickly. The downside though is if it's track focused tyres, they're not so good in poor weather, and because I'm going to be driving for a long time around a lot of places and I don't know what the weather's going to be, I'm going to put on the more sensible Pirelli option, which is the P0 tyre, better for all purposes and slightly longer wear, and they'll last longer throughout the trip as well because it's going to do a lot of miles while I'm on the road. So I'll get those swapped over before I set off. But, I mean, what can I say? What can I say? I'm just absolutely over the moon with it. The spec, the colours, the look, just being back in the 675LT again. I've missed it 2 months without, and I've absolutely missed it. That's a strange one to say, but true. Like, this is the best car on the road short of a hypercar, without a doubt. To drive for overall event, experience, drama, everything that is the sort of raw being behind the wheel and having a good time, and the performance capability. It's the 675LT. Roof on, roof off, completely mixed. Some people like it without the Spider because obviously you get a slightly cleaner line over the back. For me, the roof down driving experience is just spot on, absolutely spot on. Can you imagine what it's going to be like being out on a sort of mountain road or cruising along a coastal highway in this car? I just can't wait. I cannot wait, and as always, I'll be sharing that with you guys and uploading the experiences and trying to let you know as much as possible about what it's all about. I'm gonna head back towards my home, pop the car in the garage for now. I'll be out in it again later, I am sure, But my first drive, well, my first day of driving, I should say, the first drive that I shared with you, now over, and I'm speechless. It's epic. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I'll be sharing plenty more with this car with you, so make sure you stay tuned, and I'll catch up with you again very soon. Cheers.